Anneke Zegers. I'm a sophomore in college. I am currently fencing at Premier Fencing Academy, and I am in a Division I fencing college on the East Coast. I have been fencing for 10 years. Of all the things I enjoy about fencing, I would say that I really enjoy the mental aspect, the strategy part of the fencing. I love having to see different opponents and change your fencing style a little bit, makes minor adjustments for each and every bout. It's really a strategic sport, and that's one of my favorite parts about it. I also just love to compete. I feel like fencing is really not complete without the competing experience, at least in my perspective. I've loved going to tournaments all the time. When I was in high school, we would travel to even the most minor regional tournaments as well as the national tournaments, and doing that really helped. I think it impacted my fencing experience and made it just all the more enjoyable. My major highlights in fencing, I feel like almost every tournament I learned something from. Again, I went to a lot of small tournaments and big tournaments throughout all my years, and each and every one I feel like I was able to take something from. Just the whole competing experience really gives you that experience you need with different touches, different fencing styles to really develop as a fencer. But if I had to choose one or two major experiences, I would say that a lot of the tournaments where I got my ratings, I felt like those were turning points in my career as a fencer. The tournament where I got my E rating was in Texas, and I still remember just being so happy and crying afterwards. I'd been fencing for 4 to 5 years before that and kind of been working toward that rating. It was always a goal of mine, and then finally getting it, I just remember this rush of joy, and I was like crying. And my mom was giving me a big hug and telling me that I finally had done it, and I just felt that sense of accomplishment that day. And I feel like every other rating I got afterwards, I felt something similar, but the E rating just stuck out to me so much. And the other one that stuck out to me, I believe, would be both times I got my A rating. I got my A rating first at Summer Nationals in 2017, and then I renewed it at Summer Nationals in 2019. And both those experiences were very different, and they taught me a lot about myself as a fencer. In 2017, I got my A rating in the Division I event, and it was the very first day of the Summer National competition, so I still had like 5 more events to go or so. And on all those other days, I fenced terribly. It was some of the worst fencing I've ever done, and I remember at the end, my coaches were like, what have you done? Like, what's going on? You fenced so well on the first day. And I think I just realized how my mentality was completely like, it was altered so much by that first day. I was kind of on this fencing high, and I kind of went in with this overconfidence and kind of letting this pride, like, oh, I have an A rating. And that rating I think the excitement of it carried me through the other days too much, where I stopped fencing and I just went in too confidently, believing that my rating was going to carry me and get me through. And I realized after that tournament that an A rating does not guarantee that you're going to win bouts against the lower rated fencers. You still have to fence and you still have to work for it. And that mentality really helped me improve as a fencer afterwards, because I realized I got this rating that I wanted to get to, but there's more than that. That doesn't guarantee that you're going to be the best fencer. So a couple years later, when I'm fencing the 2019 Summer Nationals, instead of the very first event where I renewed my A rating, it was the very last event. And I'd kind of been struggling a little bit the whole week, but I got to that last event and I realized this is where I'm going to do this again. I'm going to renew my A, I'm going to go in, I have the confidence because I know that I've done it before where I've medaled at a Summer National tournament. I know I can do it again. So I went in with a lot of conviction that I knew I could do well. I knew I could beat everybody who I fenced. And I remembered, okay, you have to do it now. You know that you can, now you just need to go out there and put it all on the strip. And that's what I did, and I ended up getting third that day. And that was a highlight for me because I went in with the confidence and I knew that I was able to do it. The fencing goals that I have in college are that I would like to compete in the NCAA tournament There are a lot of different levels of the fencing tournaments in college. There's the regional, there's the general season competitions, and I'd love to qualify for the NCAA competition, which is where we fence more than people just within our region. We fence kind of all the best fencers in the top universities, the Ivies. I'm not on the Ivy League circuit right now, I'm in the ACC circuit, so I'd love to get to fence at that NCAA overall level. Which hopefully will happen this season with COVID, but we're not quite sure. I'd also like to continue fencing NACs. It's a goal of mine to be able to medal in a Div 1 NAC. I have medaled in Div 1A events, Div 2 events, Div 3 events, but never a Div 1 event, and that is still a goal of mine. So even though that's not in the college circuit exactly, I'd still like to keep competing in NACs and hopefully get there someday. Keeping myself motivated in fencing, that's a struggle that everybody deals with because we all lose a lot. You're going to lose more than you win most likely when you're first starting out. And I still remember this one tournament where I developed my philosophy for staying motivated and hopeful. It was after I'd had a terrible event where I didn't make it out of the pools in both events at this NAC that I went to. And I felt so terrible. I was talking to my mom and I was thinking, this is a waste of money. My parents invest so much money to help get me to travel around and compete. This is a waste of time and effort for me because I'm not succeeding. I've been trying so hard for so long and it's just not happening. And then I had this revelation. It was like a voice in my head struck from above. And the words were, it's only a waste if you give up now. And I've kind of operated on that philosophy for the rest of my fencing experience where it's a lot of work fencing. You go in 5 days a week or more and you do several hours per day, you do private lessons on top of that. It's a lot of work and it is a major financial investment, but it's only ever a waste if you give up before you've reached your full potential. It's a lot of work, but I've just learned to embrace that work and the effort and just enjoy it for what it is. But then also, you have to realize that if you give up too soon, you'll never realize that victory could have been just around the corner for you. You could be on this downhill or this plateau, but it could come just before you're about to spike and you're about to go up and become a much better fencer, but you'll never know if you give up too soon. And that's just what I've always operated on when I'm feeling down, when I feel like I'm not succeeding, is that victory could be just around the corner, so I can't give up because I know that if I just keep trying, eventually I will get there. So my favorite workout for my fencing ability, I do love the ladder drills. That's always something I've liked. On the side of fencing practices though, I've started doing some additional working out. Just this past summer during quarantine times, I got into running on the side. And at first it was a bit challenging because fencing and running, you don't usually think that they work together because it's a completely different set of muscles. But after I started doing it, I noticed that my endurance was a lot better. So I would say that I love to do some running, trail running, or running on the treadmill. Either way is good, just as long as you keep moving. And then I love to do core and ab workouts. I have 2 videos that I found on YouTube that I usually pair together back to back, and I really enjoy working out those because I feel like the core and the abs are really important for fencing for strength and balance. Fencing has impacted my life, particularly because it impacted my college choices. Going into college, I don't think I would have chosen the same school that I did if I did not do fencing. I was kind of debating between 2 colleges that I was on the edge between. Both had fencing programs. One of them, I liked the academic side more and I liked some of their programs more, but the other one, their fencing program was just a lot stronger, and I ended up going with the college that had the stronger fencing program. And honestly, looking back, I'm glad I made that decision just because I feel like I've had such a great college experience, very happy, and I'm really blessed to have met the people who I've met through it. So I really thank fencing that helped me determine which college I was going to. Fencing has also taught me to be a more resilient person, and it's taught me a lot about the value of hard work. I know that success only comes with a lot of practice and a lot of experience. And like I was saying about just not giving up, it's really taught me that you have to keep trying and keep staying motivated Fencing has taught me to believe in myself and to keep working hard even when it seems impossible, even when you are starting to think, oh, I'm never going to get better, I'm never going to get past this, I'm never going to improve my attack, or I'm never going to learn how to do a two-parry correctly. If you keep practicing at it, you will, and I think that that's applicable for all areas of life. If you keep practicing, if you keep trying, eventually you will get this right, because we're all capable of learning new things. And fencing has really taught me how to do that and how to stick at something. Of all the places I've visited, I think that my favorite is not fencing related, but it's Rome, because I am a Latin student. I've been studying Latin since freshman year of high school, and I'm still taking it in college because I love it so much. It is a very nerdy language. Everyone who takes it usually falls in love with it, I've found. And it's easy to see why, just because the language, the writing in it is so much fun, and it's so unusual what you get. You get philosophy, and you get stories about war, you get comedies, you get all sorts of different types of genres in the Latin reading that you read in high school and college levels. And I found that I fell in love with the language, and so visiting Rome as a Latin student, and even beforehand, it gave me so much experience. It gave me so much of a better appreciation for the history, and so that's one of my favorite places I've ever visited. But if I had to choose a place I visited for fencing that was my favorite, I still have to go with Richmond, Virginia, just because I have so many good vibes about that city. I love the state of Virginia for its beauty and the atmosphere there, and I'm also a Southern girl at heart. So I have to say that I love the city of Richmond, Virginia for fencing. I am a major fan of classical literature. I love to read the old books. Jane Austen has always been a favorite of mine. If I had to choose a book I read in high school that was my favorite, I would say I loved Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, and also East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Both books are fantastic. But I love just reading any of the old fiction that your English teachers would assign to you on most occasions. I find that there's really valuable lessons to be learned from reading. I also love creative writing. It's my hope to be a published author someday. Still working on that. I've also written a lot of poetry and submitted them to contests. Nothing has won so far, but like I've learned in fencing, you just have to keep trying and keep going to all the contests, just like you keep going to all the tournaments, and eventually something will work out, and someday you'll have the gold medal to show for it. To describe each PFA coach with one word, I would say for Coach Setzi, I would call her encouraging. I feel like she's very approachable and easy to talk to. If I'm feeling kind of down about my fencing, I can go to her and she'll tell me these stories to keep me motivated. And so I would say encouraging is definitely what I'd use for Coach Setzi. For Coach Christian, I would say knowledgeable is the word I would choose, because I feel like he knows everything about fencing. He's seen it all, and he's fenced himself. I also go to him, I think, first when I want some advice about different moves and different things to do in the bout with strategy. He's very knowledgeable about the strategy aspect of the sport, and so I love getting lessons with him also, where I feel like we can work on different moves and different techniques. And finally, for Hristo, I would choose the word honest, because I think that sometimes he'll give you these brutally honest feedback, tell you if you're not fencing well, and we need that. So the word honest is what I'd choose for Hristo. In 5 years, I hope to hopefully be graduated from college. I would like to get a major in English and minors in Latin and creative writing. All of those areas I absolutely love, and I'm hoping that that'll be my future. I don't quite know what the future holds, though. I really hope to still be fencing in 5 years. That would be my absolute goal. I love this sport so much that it's hard to imagine my life without fencing. It's impacted my whole high school and college experience in numerous ways. It's really benefited me as a person, I believe, going to all these tournaments, having all this experience, learning to deal with people, learning to deal with my own inner emotions and myself. Fencing really has taught me to work past what I'm feeling sometimes in order to achieve something or get a job done. And so I would say that in 5 years, I really hope I'm still doing this sport that I absolutely love. Hopefully I'm employed by then. and I really hope that I've published a book by then. Fingers crossed, really want that to work out.